Beneath you, the planet breathes. You do not feel it at first. It is too deep, too old, too slow for the rush of human senses. But if you could listen with the patience of mountains, you would hear it, a faint, resonant sigh that ripples through stone, water, and time. It is the breath of the earth itself, drawn not through lungs, but through the quiet movement of molten rock beneath your feet. Every second, in the unseen dark below, magma stirs. It flows and folds and whispers beneath the crust, shaping the planet's endless heartbeat. You lie still and imagine it, a warmth deep below the cool crust you walk upon. That warmth is not anger, it is life. It has been there since the beginning, since Earth was a swirl of dust and fire, a newborn world wrapped in chaos. When the surface hardened into stone, the heart of fire remained a glowing memory of our planet's birth, and it breathes still. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the Earth not as a static sphere, but as something alive, its layers pulsing softly like the slow expansion of lungs. The crust, thin and fragile, is only the skin of this great being. Beneath it, molten rivers move, never rushing, never resting. The mantle is where this gentle motion lives. Here, rocks are not solid as they seem on the surface. They are thick and slow-flowing, like honey that moves only in centuries. It is in this mantle that heat travels upward, in great columns of warmth that rise and fall in cycles older than mountains. These cycles are convection, currents, the deep tides of the earth. They are invisible, yet they guide everything you know: the drifting of continents, the opening of oceans, the quiet birth of volcanoes. Every island, every mountain range, every earthquake, every eruption, all are echoes of this silent breath. When you think of volcanoes, perhaps your mind leaps to fire and fury, to red rivers of lava and dark clouds that climb the sky. But in truth, volcanoes are only moments in a much longer rhythm. They are the exhalations of the Earth's long inhale, a release of pressure that has been building for centuries. Between those bursts of light and sound, the planet spends millennia in stillness, waiting, dreaming. This is where the story of supervolcanoes begins, not in destruction, but in patience. Imagine yourself walking across a quiet field, unaware that far below you, miles under your feet, lies a vast chamber of molten rock. It rests there, almost sleeping, its heat pressing gently against stone walls. It is not dangerous yet, not truly awake. For thousands of years, it gathers strength, collecting fragments of heat like thoughts gathering meaning. The crust above it thickens and shifts, creaking as if stretching in sleep. The pressure builds so slowly that even the mountains cannot feel it. But deep down, the magma moves, turning over upon itself like a slow ocean current, balancing forces, finding equilibrium. This is not violence, it is balance. It is the Earth's way of remembering that energy cannot remain still forever. It must move, circulate, transform. Just as the tides follow the moon, so too does the mantle follow its inner rhythm, pulsing in long waves of time. And yet, even in its stillness, the planet speaks to you. When you stand beside a steaming hot spring, or see the mist rise from a geyser, you are standing at the edge of that breath. The heat you feel against your skin is not just warmth, it is the story of ancient energy making its way to the surface, molecule by molecule, until it meets the air and becomes part of your moment. in Iceland, in New Zealand, in Yellowstone. The earth exhales through vents and fissures, gentle and steady. Each plume of steam is a message. I am alive. I am patient. I am here. There is something profoundly soothing about knowing that our world is not lifeless rock, but a living system of heat, motion, and renewal. The continents drift slowly, carried like rafts on the mantle's moving sea. Ocean floors are born at mid-ocean ridges and swallowed again into the deep trenches. It is a circulation of unimaginable scale, a geologic respiration. Every few 100 million years, the face of the planet remakes itself entirely. Mountains rise and are worn down. Oceans open and close. Islands appear and vanish, and through it all, the magma beneath continues its rhythm, steady as a heart that never forgets to beat. When you look up at the stars, it's easy to feel small, to think of space as vast and Earth as solid, finished, stable. But the truth is that our planet is as dynamic as any star, just slower, quieter. The same forces that ignite suns, gravity, heat, fusion, exist here in gentler form. Beneath the crust, the iron core spins like a hidden sun, its molten metal generating the magnetic field that shields our atmosphere. Around it, the mantle swirls in slow grace, carrying heat from the core outward. Each movement, though measured in millennia, is precise, a cosmic choreography of stone and flame. So when you walk the ground, remember, you are walking on motion disguised as stillness. This slow, patient movement has shaped everything that breathes. Without volcanoes, the Earth's crust would never have formed its countenance. Without their gases, our atmosphere would never have thickened enough to hold life. Without their ash, the soil would not be rich with minerals that nourish the forests and fields. Even now, every breath you take contains traces of volcanic pasts, oxygen born in ancient atmospheres stirred by fire. Volcanoes are not destroyers alone. They are architects, alchemists. They transform the deep into the visible, the hidden into the habitable. The Earth's breath, though unseen, sustains all that lives upon it. Lie still again. Picture the heat beneath your body, not threatening, but comforting. It is the same warmth that first stirred oceans into movement, that first awakened life in shallow pools. Each pulse of the Earth is a reminder that creation and destruction are siblings, not enemies. Even the most violent eruptions begin as whispers of balance, and in that balance lies the deep peace of the planet's design. Sometimes the mantle's breath grows stronger. Tectonic plates, those vast fragments of crust, drift upon its currents, meeting and partying in endless rhythm. Where they collide, mountains rise. Where they separate, new seafloor forms. Along these boundaries, pressure collects, and magma finds paths upward, narrow cracks through which the Earth exhales. Each volcano is a mouth of the planet, a place where the inner world speaks to the outer. Most are small murmurs, releasing their heat in manageable size, but a few hold more power than imagination allows. These are the supervolcanoes, vast reservoirs of magma capable of altering the sky itself. They are rare, silent, and profoundly patient. They do not erupt in centuries or even in millennia. They wait, and while they wait, the crust above them cools. Forests grow, lakes form, and life continues, unaware of the immensity sleeping below. It is in that patience, that waiting, that the true beauty of the Earth's breath resides. As you rest, imagine the whole planet turning beneath the stars, blue oceans, green continents, white clouds swirling above a core of molten light. Inside that quiet spinning world, heat continues to rise and fall, creating continents, shaping life, and whispering across deep stone. That is the rhythm that holds everything together. That is the Earth's breath, constant, ancient, and kind. You are part of this rhythm too. The carbon in your bones, the iron in your blood, the minerals in your cells, all were forged in the deep fires of this planet, carried to the surface by volcanic breaths long before you were born. You do not merely live on Earth, you live with it, of it, within its breath. So when the ground feels still, when the night is quiet and the stars are high, remember, beneath that calm surface, the world is breathing, and tonight, as you drift toward sleep, your breath joins the planet's inhale warmth from below, exhale calm from within. The Earth breathes with you. You descend now, gently, not falling, but sinking into understanding. Beneath the surface you call home, beneath mountains, oceans, and roots, lies a hidden world, the soft, glowing realm where rock flows like thought. It is the mantle, the cradle beneath the crust, and it holds the slow heartbeat of the planet. You imagine yourself drifting downward through the solid earth. The ground fades from soil to stone, from granite to basalt, from darkness into a heat so ancient it glows. It is not the violent fire of an eruption, but a deep, constant warmth, the kind that has been there since the first breath of the earth, fragile, almost weightless against what lies beneath. All the continents, all the seas, all of life rest upon this shell no thicker, proportionally, than the skin of an apple. And below that skin, the mantle swells and moves, endless and alive. Imagine this world, rocks that move like slow rivers, heat rising in silent spirals, pressure building and releasing in the patience of eons. The mantle is neither solid nor liquid. It is something in between, a viscous twilight of stone. Here, atoms drift past one another like dreamers, half awake. Temperature and pressure conspire to soften the very idea of solidity. What appears rigid to us is, on the scale of geologic time, in constant motion. Every 100 million years or so, this mantle flow rearranges the surface above it. It pushes plates apart, lifts mountains skyward, and opens new seas. What feels eternal, the shapes of continents, the lines of coasts, are merely moments in a longer dance. If you could hover here, at the edge of the upper mantle, you would see slow currents of molten rock drifting in enormous loops. These are convection currents, the circulations of heat and matter that drive plate tectonics. Picture it, hot material rises from the depths like glowing honey, carrying the Earth's inner warmth upward. As it reaches the cooler regions near the crust, it spreads outward, loses heat, and sinks again. This endless cycling is the mechanism through which the Earth breathes, distributing energy from its fiery core outward toward the thin, cold crust. It is a system of balance, always moving, always equalizing. The energy of the planet circulates like blood, carrying the deep memory of creation through every layer of its being. Above these flows, tectonic plates drift massive slabs of rock, thousands of kilometers wide, yet gliding at the speed of fingernail growth. Their movement is imperceptible day by day, but over time it writes the poetry of the continents. They meet, part, collide, and reshape the surface in slow tectonic whispers. When two plates move apart, molten rock rises between them, forming new crust. When they collide, one slips beneath the other, diving back into the mantle, where it melts once again. This is the cycle of subduction and creation, a quiet resurrection written in stone. Every grain of sand, every pebble, every mountain you see, all have passed through this cycle countless times. Born in the mantle, lifted into light, ground down by wind and water, drawn back into the deep, melted, remade, reborn. The mantle's rhythm is older than life itself. Long before any creature took breath, the earth was already practicing the art of renewal. Volcanoes erupted, oceans opened, continents drifted, and the deep pulse continued, never hurrying, never ceasing. Even now, every tremor beneath your feet is a whisper of that movement. When the ground quivers, it is not rage, it is communication. It is the mantle sending word upward, adjusting, balancing, sighing through stone. You drift deeper still. The air grows heavy, then disappears. The light fades, replaced by the dull orange of heated minerals. This is a place of immense pressure, where every cubic inch of rock bears the weight of the world above it. Here, crystals deform and flow. Minerals change their structures to survive, their atoms rearranging into denser, stronger forms. The mineral, olivine, green, and glassy near the surface, becomes something entirely new down here Wadsleyite. Then Bridgmanite, each phase born from pressure's embrace. This is the chemistry of endurance. The matter that holds up continents is not rigid defiance, but graceful adaptation. It bends, changes, and yields, finding new forms rather than breaking. The earth survives not through stillness, but through flexibility. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the slow creaking of the mantle's movements. It is the sound of time stretching itself, a note too low for human ears, but always resonating through the bones of the planet. This sound moves through rock as seismic waves, echoes that scientists record to see into the depths. Seismology, the study of these waves, is the Earth's own heartbeat monitor. Each earthquake, each tremor, is a pulse that tells us how the interior lives. From those vibrations, scientists have mapped the unseen. They know the crust's thickness, the mantle's currents, the molten core shape, all from the echoes of movement, the ripples of the Earth's breath. You begin to understand. The crust is not the Earth, it is only its face, a thin expression above a vast mind. The true body of the planet lies here, in the mantle, the great intermediary between surface and core, solid and fluid, stillness and motion. This is the cradle beneath the crust, where energy gathers and releases, where the first sparks of volcanoes are born. Before any eruption, before any ash touches the sky, the story begins here, in the slow pooling of molten rock, in the gathering of heat and tension, in the mantle's patient dreaming. Think of it as a mind, vast and ancient. Each convection, cell a thought, each drift of magma, a memory of something long past. Perhaps it remembers the impact that created the moon, or the first oceans forming from vapor. Perhaps it remembers when the crust was thin and fragile, when the first continents rose like islands in a sea of fire. All of it, every mountain, every continent, every breath you take exists because this hidden world moves. Now imagine standing on the surface again. Beneath your feet, the mantle still turns. You cannot feel it, yet its influence touches everything. The height of mountains, the shape of coasts, even the pattern of the stars you see at night. For when continents drift, they shift winds, redirect oceans, alter climate, and change the rhythm of life itself. The mantle is the silent architect of all living conditions. Its movements decide where rain will fall, where deserts will stretch, where forests will thrive. Volcanoes, fed by its molten streams, create new land islands where life begins anew. What seems chaotic, earthquakes, eruptions, shifting lands, is on this deeper scale, harmony. Each movement is part of an immense balance, too grand for fear, too slow for panic. It humbles you, doesn't it? The thought that what feels so solid is actually flowing, that the ground beneath cities, forests, and seas is quietly migrating, that the world itself is not fixed, but breathing, expanding, and transforming beneath every step. The crust is a raft, the mantle its sea. We are passengers on this voyage through time, crossing a molten ocean that never stops moving. And though we cannot steer it, we can listen to it through science, through imagination, through awe sometimes. This hidden motion gathers strength in one place, where heat accumulates, where pressure cannot easily escape. There, a magma chamber may begin to form. It is small at first, a pocket of molten rock in the lower crust. But over thousands of years, it grows, fed by the mantle's steady stream. When such a chamber becomes vast enough, it can one day become a supervolcano's heart, though that too begins quietly. The earth builds its power with gentleness. It does not rush toward eruption. It waits until every condition aligns, until its balance must reset. That patience is part of the planet's grace. As you drift back upward now, through the layers of the mantle and crust, you carry a new awareness that what lies beneath is not chaos, but choreography. That motion and stillness coexist in harmony. That even in the deepest darkness, there is order, purpose, and quiet renewal. The cradle beneath the crust is not a place of fear, it is a place of origin. It is where the story of land begins, where fire softens stone, and where the seeds of tomorrow's continents are already forming. The next time you stand on solid ground, remember, the earth holds you not as a stone holds stillness, but as a heart holds warmth. Every step you take resonates with a billion-year-old rhythm, the slow, steady music of a living planet. And deep below, the mantle turns once more, dreaming the next shape of the world. You drift now into a deeper stillness, a silence so complete, it is the quiet beneath the crust, where heat and stone hold their breath together. Here, in chambers vast and hidden, pressure dreams, slow, invisible, eternal. This is where supervolcanoes are born, not in chaos, not in fury, but in patience. Imagine standing within the Earth's crust, miles beneath forests, rivers, and the calm light of day. The air, if there were any, would shimmer with heat. The rock around you would seem solid, yet within it lies movement, slow as time. Tiny droplets of molten rock gather in the cracks and pores of the crust, merging in secret. Over thousands of years, they form a chamber, a reservoir, of molten silicate, heavy and luminous. It grows not by eruption, but by accumulation, layer by layer, molecule by molecule. Heat from the mantle seeps upward, softening stone, coaxing minerals to melt and merge. Each particle that joins adds not just mass, but potential. It is here, in this quiet, that pressure begins to dream. At first, nothing changes. The rock above the chamber is thick and strong, the ceiling of a sleeping giant. But as magma gathers, the balance shifts ever so slightly. Temperature rises, volume expands. Gas, trapped in the molten mixture, begins to whisper, bubbles forming and collapsing in silence. The chamber is a living body of liquid rock, breathing slowly beneath its stony skin, and like all living bodies, it changes over time. Crystals form along its edges, feldspars and quartz, cooled by contact with the crust. Each crystal removes certain elements from the melt, altering the chemistry of what remains. Slowly, it evolves from basaltic simplicity to rhyolitic complexity, thicker, stickier, more explosive. In this transformation lies destiny. You can think of magma as thought in motion, a blend of potential and restraint. Energy waiting for permission to move. The gases dissolved within it, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, water vapor, are like emotions, invisible yet powerful, pressing upward, yearning for release. But the crust above does not yield easily. It presses down with the weight of continents, holding the molten chamber in check. A delicate equilibrium forms, pressure within, pressure without. The chamber breathes in geologic rhythm, expanding slightly as heat rises, contracting as minerals crystallize. For thousands of years, it hovers at the edge of change, its own tension maintaining balance. This is the Earth's patience made visible, a cathedral of molten stone, dreaming beneath silence. Sometimes, small tremors ripple through the crust, tiny reminders that the chamber stirs. Seismic waves bounce through the rock, carrying messages upward. Scientists who listen carefully can hear these whispers. They call them harmonic tremors, soft, rhythmic vibrations that speak of moving magma. Other times, the ground above rises by mere millimeters, a subtle swelling as if the earth were inhaling in its sleep. These uplifts are signs of the breath below, of magma shifting, pushing gently against its shell. Yet often, nothing follows. The chamber sighs, settles, cools. Its energy sinks back into quiet supervolcanoes. After all, do not rush. They wait through ages, gathering strength beneath stillness. Deep within, the chemistry continues to evolve. Crystals grow and sink, separating from the molten mix. This process, fractional crystallization, slowly concentrates gases and silica, making the magma thicker, more buoyant, more volatile. It is as if the liquid stone is learning to rise, preparing itself for a future it cannot yet see. In some regions, new magma from below stirs the chamber, injecting fresh heat and energy, a geologic conversation between layers. Each intrusion adds pressure, turning quiet equilibrium into quiet tension. Over time, the crust above bends. Tiny fractures form, invisible to the eye, but monumental in meaning. They are pathways, the first exhalations of what may one day be an eruption, but for now, it sleeps. For now, pressure remains a dream, a thought unspoken. a possibility unfulfilled. The chamber glows softly in the dark, its walls shimmering with molten reflections. Microscopic crystals float within, suspended like stars in a nebula. If you could stand here and look around, it would feel less like a cave and more like the inside of a thought made of fire and patience. This is the heart of potential, and it beats so slowly that a single pulse might last 1,000 years. Above, life carries on. Forests spread their roots, rivers carve valleys, snow falls and melts across the same ground that hides this ancient heart. The surface remains calm, oblivious to the slow dance below. It is the paradox of Earth, peace built upon power, silence layered over motion. The crust is the lid of a great meditation. Beneath it, pressure accumulates, not in anger, but in intention. Every molecule that shifts, every bubble that forms, is part of a longer story, one of release, renewal, and return. To understand this, imagine holding your breath, not in panic, but in patience, waiting for the perfect moment to exhale. That is the state of a supervolcanoes chamber. It is not waiting to destroy. It is waiting to balance. When pressure builds beyond what the crust can hold, it does not choose to erupt. It simply must. Nature's laws are not emotional, only inevitable. The release is a restoration of symmetry, a return to equilibrium after too much has been held for too long. Yet between eruptions, the stillness reigns for tens, even hundreds of thousands of years. That silence is not absence, it is preparation. You may wonder, why does such immense power hide so quietly? Why does the earth choose secrecy over spectacle? Perhaps because creation requires both. To build mountains, one must first gather magma. To sculpt continents, one must allow pressure to dream before it awakens. The earth knows the art of timing. It speaks in eons, not in moments, and in that time scale, even catastrophe becomes balance. Now you drift closer, listening. You hear the slow hum of gases dissolving and reforming. You feel the thick warmth pressing outward, its patience infinite yet restless. This pressure, though invisible, is the sculptor of the surface world. It shapes mountains, feeds geysers, warms hot springs, and gives birth to the soils that nourish forests. When it finally escapes, it will carry with it new land, new minerals, new beginnings. But that is far ahead. For now, it waits. You can almost feel the weight of time here, a stillness so vast it feels like thought made solid in the darkness. A realization stirs. The Earth's greatest power is not in eruption, but in its capacity to hold, to endure, to contain, to balance unimaginable forces without immediate release. This restraint is what keeps the crust intact, what allows oceans to shimmer and life to bloom. Pressure dreams so that peace may exist above it. Sometimes, scientists measure the chemistry of gases escaping from fumaroles: sulfur, carbon dioxide, helium. These are the breaths that escape from sleeping chambers. By studying them, humans have learned to listen to the Earth's dreams. A sudden change in gas ratios can hint that magma is rising, that pressure is shifting. Satellites measure the swelling of land, seismographs trace tremors, and deep sensors record the faint heat that moves beneath valleys and lakes. To read these signs is to eavesdrop on the planet's slow conversations. To study a supervolcano is to study the art of patience itself. You rise now, slowly, as if leaving a cathedral of molten stone. The air cools as you ascend toward the crusts, solid, quiet, but you carry something with you, a deep sense of how even silence can hold power. Above ground, the night is calm. The wind brushes over plains, the stars shimmer with tranquil light, and beneath it all, the dream of pressure continues. Unbroken, the earth, in its quiet way, reminds you, not all growth is visible. Not all power is loud. Sometimes, creation is simply the act of waiting. Sometimes, the most profound forces move in silence. You awaken in a valley of steam and color. The air hums softly with warmth, scented faintly of sulfur, a perfume of the earth's deep breath. Before you lies a land like no other, wide plains draped in mist, hot springs gleaming in impossible hues of blue, gold, and jade. This is Yellowstone, the resting giant, a place where the ground itself exhales, where the silence above conceals an ancient, simmering heart below. The morning here begins in quiet wonder. Mist rises from the geysers, curling upward like prayers into the cool sky. Bison wander through shallow fog, their breath mingling with the earth's. The land feels alive, not merely in the life it holds, but in the warmth that moves unseen beneath it. You can feel it if you listen, a slow thrum through the soles of your feet, a gentle, steady pulse of heat, as if the planet itself is dreaming just beneath the soil. And it is, for Yellowstone rests upon the vast caldera of a supervolcano, a sleeping power large enough to reshape continents, yet so tranquil in its slumber that it feels almost sacred. Far below this serene landscape, a chamber of molten rock stretches across hundreds of kilometers, a system vast and ancient, fed by a plume of heat that rises from deep within the mantle like a golden candle flame. Scientists call it a mantle hotspot, but the term feels too small for what it truly is. It is more like the planet's heartbeat, a slow rising warmth that has burned in place for tens of millions of years. As the North American plate drifts over this stationary plume, new eruptions are born, one after another, each leaving behind a scar of memory. From Oregon to Wyoming, the land carries these quiet footprints, a trail of ancient calderas, each one a chapter in the Earth's long autobiography. And now, Yellowstone rests at the end of that trail, the current keeper of the planet's buried fire. You walk toward the grand prismatic spring, its colors shimmering in the morning light. At first glance, it seems painted by imagination, a ring of deep blue at the center, fading to greens, yellows, and orange at the edges. But this brilliance is no illusion. Each color is a story, a living gradient of heat and life. In the scalding core, where temperatures near boiling, few organisms can survive. The water is deep blue, pure, sterile. But as it cools toward the edges, thermophiles, heat-loving microbes, find their home. They flourish, painting the pools with pigments of survival, golden yellows, rust reds, emerald greens. These tiny lives thrive in what should be death. They are ancient cousins to the earliest microbes on Earth, creatures that once lived when the planet was still young and molten. Here, at the surface of a supervolcano, life remembers its origins. The air trembles with quiet sound, a geyser's sigh, a hissing vent, the bubbling of hidden springs. This is the voice of heat made gentle. Instead of erupting in violence. The giant here releases its pressure in whispers through the steam of geysers and the shimmer of boiling pools. Each geyser is a conversation between water and fire. Rain and snow seep deep into the ground, where they meet the rising heat of the magma chamber below. There, the water boils, expanding rapidly into steam. When pressure builds enough, it bursts upward, sending jets of vapor skyward in rhythmic intervals, the planet's own breathing pattern. You watch as Old Faithful erupts, its plume rising in graceful arcs against the blue morning sky. For more than a century, it has kept its rhythm, a natural metronome ticking to the planet's inner clock. Its timing is not magic, but mathematics. The consistent heating and cooling of trapped water within the Earth's crust. Yet standing here, it feels like witnessing something more sacred than science. A ritual, a promise kept through centuries. You wander further, to mudpots bubbling softly, to fumaroles sighing in low tones. The landscape feels alive in every direction, but there is no urgency, no alarm. Even the Earth's heat seems meditative here, as if every exhalation has been practiced for eons. And beneath it all, the chamber rests, 15 kilometers deep. A body of partially molten rock lies like a slow ocean of fire. It is not fully liquid, only pockets of magma surrounded by semi-solid stone. Together, they hold enough material to fuel unimaginable eruptions, but they do not stir. Not yet. The last great eruption here occurred about 640,000 years ago. Before that, 2 others, spaced roughly 700,000 years apart. Each one left behind a caldera, a vast depression in the ground where the crust collapsed after release. The caldera that cradles Yellowstone today is nearly 45 miles wide, so large that standing within it, you cannot even see its edges. It is not a crater, but a memory of expansion and collapse, the Earth exhaling completely, then falling back into itself. In that event, ash blanketed half a continent, rivers changed course, skies dimmed. And yet, from the ashes, new life returned. Forests grew again, bison walked the plains, and in time, humans came, drawn to the warmth, the water, the mystery. Even destruction, in Earth's rhythm, is only a longer kind of creation today. Scientists walk this land with instruments that listen and measure, seismographs, satellites, thermal cameras. They record the Earth's subtle motions, the slow inflation and deflation of the ground, the chemistry of escaping gases, the tremors that murmur deep below. These are not signs of imminent eruption, but of the planet's ordinary breath, like a sleeping creature shifting in dream. Yellowstone moves gently beneath its blanket of soil. In the past decades, the ground here has lifted by a few centimeters, then subsided again, like the rise and fall of a chest at rest. Pressure builds, relaxes, builds again. A living system, not a ticking clock. You see the reflection of clouds drifting over the water. The surface looks tranquil, but below it lie hydrothermal vents, releasing warmth into the depths. Fish glide through this heated world, creatures adapted to a landscape that breathes both cold and fire. The lake itself sits within the caldera, a mirror over a heart of stone. If you could see through it, you'd glimpse domes and ridges formed by ancient lava flows, scars of past awakenings, now softened by time. The lake reminds you that healing is not the absence of memory, but its transformation. You sit now beside a geyser basin, watching steam rise in silver ribbons into the late afternoon air. The land hums softly beneath you, its heat steady, its breath calm, and you realize something simple yet profound. Power can be peaceful. Even immense strength can choose gentleness. The earth, capable of reshaping worlds, spends most of its time in patience. What humanity calls dormant is often just the planet meditating. In the evenings, when the sun lowers behind the ridges, the steam turns golden. It catches the light like smoke in a dream. Bison silhouettes move slowly through the haze, ancient and calm. Somewhere beneath them, the magma chamber shifts slightly, rearranging its liquid patterns. A slow murmur travels upward, too deep for ears to hear, but enough for the geysers to answer with a sigh. The entire landscape becomes a dialogue between fire and water, between rest and readiness, between silence and the possibility of sound. Night falls over Yellowstone. Stars appear above the dark silhouettes of pines, their reflections shimmering in the still pools below. Steam drifts upward toward constellations older than any eruption. The earth lies perfectly balanced, heat below, cold sky above, life thriving in between. You lie down and listen. The geysers pulse. The ground hums faintly, endlessly. And you understand that this is not danger sleeping, it is harmony. Yellowstone is not a warning, it is a reminder that power can exist in peace, that creation does not always roar, and that even the mightiest hearts know when to rest. Tomorrow, you will journey beyond this valley of warmth, to follow the path of ash and air, to learn how the breath of one eruption can touch the sky and change the rhythm of the world. For now, you rest beside the giant's calm body, cradled by the earth's steady heat. You breathe in warmth and breathe out gratitude. The ground beneath you is alive, and it dreams of balance. You lift your gaze to the sky, where the light seems softer, almost fragile. It is easy to forget that above you, air carries secrets from deep below, tiny particles that traveled from Earth's heart, pushed into the heavens by fire. This is volcanic ash, a whisper of molten rock drifting across the world. Though small, it wields immense power. Each grain is a story, a memory of pressure, released heat, transformed into flight, and energy dispersed into the atmosphere. It is creation and change in miniature form. Ash begins its journey deep underground. Within magma chambers like Yellowstone's, trapped gases build pressure, eventually forcing rock upward in an eruption. Some lava flows like rivers of fire. Some fragments explode into fine particles, pulverized rock, mineral dust, crystalline glass. These grains are lighter than you imagine. They can ride the wind for thousands of kilometers, carrying Earth's breath into clouds, across continents, even circling the globe. You picture it. Millions of tiny travelers floating silently above forests, mountains, and oceans, invisible to the human eye, yet capable of touching every corner of life below. Ash is not only stone, it is a planetary sculptor. When it falls, it enriches soil with minerals, fostering forests and fields. It carries nutrients from the mantle into sunlight, connecting underground processes with life above. Volcanic ash is both destroyer and nurturer, a paradox of creation born from the release of pressure. Imagine standing beneath a gentle fall of ash. It is soft, powdery, almost ethereal. Yet within it lies the record of immense energy, heat, and pressure that once lived in the planet's hidden chambers. Each particle is a messenger, reminding you of the invisible power beneath the crust. Some eruptions are larger, and ash rises higher. Volcanoes like Toba, Topo, and Yellowstone's ancestors have sent clouds into the stratosphere, tens of kilometers above the Earth's surface. Here, ash drifts slowly, suspended for months, even years, creating hazes that alter sunlight, temperature, and climate. When ash blankets the sky, sunlight weakens, seasons shift, crops struggle, rivers run colder. Entire ecosystems adjust to the soft gray glow of filtered light. Ash, though silent, commands the world. Yet, even in this disruption, life adapts. Forests regrow in nutrient-rich soil. Animals adjust migration patterns, and humans innovate to survive. The planet teaches that destruction is never final. It is transformation. Volcanic ash also carries gases, sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide, that interact with the atmosphere, creating clouds of aerosols. These clouds reflect sunlight. It reshapes climate, whispering its influence into every corner of the globe. You can see it as a reminder. The Earth is interconnected. An eruption in one valley can change rain in another, alter winds, and even affect temperatures far away. Ash clouds move gracefully, like dancers across the sky. They swirl in currents, ride winds, and descend slowly, painting landscapes in shades of gray and white. The sun glows differently through them, warmer, dimmer, muted, yet strangely comforting in its altered light. From above, the world seems fragile, alive, and aware. Volcanic ash reminds you that even small particles can influence the vast. Even subtle actions ripple outward, shaping patterns far beyond their origin. Imagine flying over a volcanic eruption. A pillar of ash rises like a column of smoke from a hidden forge. It expands into a mushroom cloud, broad and mesmerizing. Lightning may dance within, sparks born of friction between particles. The spectacle is both terrifying and poetic, a reminder that Earth's forces are immense, yet precise in their execution. But even this power is tempered by time. Eventually, the ash falls, returning to the land and water. Rain washes it into rivers. Winds scatter it across plains. It becomes soil, nourishing the future. Every eruption carries this cycle. Pressure builds. Energy releases, ash drifts, life renews. You can also see ash as a historical diary. By studying ash layers in ice cores, sediment, and rock, scientists can trace past. They uncover stories of climate change, species survival, and human adaptation. Each layer is a page, a memory of fire written into stone. It is humbling to realize that these tiny grains record eons of history. Even the air you breathe carries traces of ancient eruptions, reminders that the Earth's heartbeat extends far beyond human lifetimes. And yet, ash does more than shape landscapes and history. It shapes the imagination. Artists and poets have long been inspired by the surreal beauty of ash-laden skies, by the golden sunsets filtered through volcanic haze, by the silver moonlight glimmering off powdered fields. You can almost feel the dance of particles in the air, weightless, endless, connecting the depths of the planet with the heights of sky. It is a bridge between the hidden chambers below and the open world above. Consider the paradox. Volcanic ash is destructive and generative at the same time. It destroys crops in the immediate term, yet enriches soils for decades. It dims the sun temporarily, yet reminds humanity of its connection to Earth's forces. It spreads death and fertility simultaneously. In this, you can glimpse the wisdom of the Earth. Power need not always roar. Even subtle, patient influence can remake the world. Ash also carries the chemistry of life. Silica, iron, potassium, phosphorus, elements born in the mantle, spread across the land, nourishing plants and animals. Without these tiny travelers, forests would be less green, rivers less rich, life less diverse. The planet recycles its energy, turning fire into foundation, destruction into abundance. It is a quiet, elegant system of renewal, where even the harshest events leave gifts behind. And yet, the human perspective often focuses on fear. We hear of eruptions, see images of ash clouds, and imagine catastrophe. But if you pause, you realize we live amidst forces that are patient, deliberate, and ultimately sustaining. Ash is not punishment. It is part of the Earth's breath, a reminder that life persists through cycles of change, even in danger. There is poetry. You lie back in a field dusted with volcanic ash. The sky glows softly above. The sun is muted, filtered, transformed by invisible grains floating miles above. You inhale deeply, imagining the air as a connection to the planet's inner fire. Each breath carries whispers of heat, pressure, and movement from deep within the earth. You feel grounded, not fearful. Ash has settled around you, yet life continues. Seeds lie beneath the powdery surface, waiting for warmth and water. The earth reminds you, every ending is also a beginning. As evening falls, clouds tinged with volcanic haze stretch across the horizon. The colors are surreal, pale orange, soft pink, gentle lavender. The sky itself seems to bow to the quiet work of fire and wind. And you understand, even in upheaval, the world seeks balance. The atmosphere, the land, the water, and life itself adjust to the pulses of molten rock beneath. Ash shapes the sky, yes, but also shapes life, memory, and imagination. It reminds you that influence does not always roar. Sometimes it drifts quietly, like particles riding invisible currents, altering everything gently yet profoundly. Tonight, as you rest, imagine those tiny grains suspended above the earth. They are messengers from the planet's deep heart, carrying lessons of patience, transformation, and interconnectedness. They will fall again, settle, nourish, and vanish. And you, in your own quiet way, are part of this cycle. Breathing, resting, listening, remembering. The earth whispers to you through ash, and you answer in stillness. Tomorrow, you will trace these whispers further to learn how past supereruptions reshaped life on Earth, how resilience and renewal emerged from the shadows of immense power, and how the memory of fire guides the present and future. For now, you lie beneath the ash-tinted sky, softly cradled by a world that balances danger and beauty, strength and gentleness, fire and calm. You close your eyes and travel through time, not as a witness, but as a traveler drifting in the soft currents of memory. Beneath your feet, the earth carries traces of ancient fire. echoes of eruptions so vast they reshaped the continents and skies. These are the memories of supervolcanoes, stories written not in ink, but in ash, stone, and silence. You find yourself at Toba on Sumatra. Nearly 74,000 years ago, the landscape is serene now, but then, a chamber beneath the crust swelled with molten energy, waiting, patient, for the perfect alignment of pressure, heat, and tension. When the eruption finally came, it was not sudden in the way a storm is. It was the culmination of thousands of years of slow accumulation. The magma chamber had grown immense, gas-rich, ready to release its burden. And release it did, with a force that reshaped the skies. Ash clouds rose tens of kilometers above the earth, circling the globe, dimming the sun, cooling the land, painting the atmosphere in muted gray and bronze. Imagine the silence before the roar, the pressure lingering in the crust like held breath. Then the world shakes, rocks fracture, rivers boil, winds carry fire and stone. Yet, in this chaos, life adapts, endures, and survives. You drift now to Taupo in New Zealand, 26,500 years ago. Its eruption released energy that dwarfed entire mountain ranges. A caldera forms where the lake rests today, its waters reflecting the sky that was once darkened by ash. The eruption reshaped forests, rivers, and valleys. Yet, in the centuries that followed, the land healed, lava cooled, soil regenerated, plants reclaimed the ground, animals returned, adapting to new landscapes. Even human populations, though affected, migrated, learned, and persevered. The memory of the eruption remains, not only in rock layers and sediment, but in the resilience of life itself, a testament to renewal after immense disruption across North America. The La Guerilla caldera whispers its own story. About 28 million years ago, a supereruption of unprecedented scale laid down the Fish Canyon Tuff, a layer of volcanic rock hundreds of meters thick. It is hard to fathom. Magma expelled faster than rivers could carry, ash blanketing landscapes vast beyond imagination. Yet, in the aftermath, ecosystems emerged anew. Lava fields cooled and became fertile soil. Plant succession began, followed by the return of herbivores and predators. The Earth's memory of eruption is also a record of restoration. These events remind you that time is a healer. Though devastation occurs in a moment, restoration unfolds in epoch. Volcanic ash, pumice, and lava, though harsh at first, become the foundation for future forests, lakes, and valleys. You realize that the Earth's history is cyclical, a rhythm of accumulation, release, destruction, and renewal. Supervolcanoes are not merely agents of catastrophe. They are also agents of transformation. Picture a world after eruption. Ash covers plains, thick and unyielding. The sun is muted, dimmed by particles in the atmosphere. Rivers change course. Skies shimmer in shades of orange and gray. Life struggles, yet it continues. Seeds lie dormant, protected beneath ash layers. Animals migrate, find refuge, or adapt to new conditions, and then, gradually, warmth returns. Rain falls, washing nutrients into the soil. Microbes emerge, digesting minerals and creating the first hints of fertility. Plants take root, slowly reclaiming the ground. Forests rise, lakes fill, and life flourishes once more. The world learns resilience. Even humans are touched by these memories. Ancient populations witnessed these events, not as observers with understanding, but as participants in survival. They migrated, adapted, and passed down stories, ensuring that knowledge of fire, ash, and change endured. Eruptions leave physical scars, yes, but they also leave lessons, reminders that patience, adaptation, and awareness are essential. The Earth's power is not only in destruction, but in teaching endurance. As you drift through these ancient memories, you notice patterns emerging, ash blankets, landscapes, yet also nourishes them. Rivers divert, yet eventually carve new paths. Species vanish in one place, but emerge stronger elsewhere. Nature embraces the supervolcano teaches that everything has its season. Destruction is not an end, but a transformation, a slow, deliberate process of renewal hidden beneath apparent chaos. You float further to the lessons recorded in geology. Scientists can read these layers as pages in a book. Ash beds, tuffs, and pumice tell stories of pressure, heat, and release. They reveal cycles of eruption and dormancy, patterns of climate change, and the resilience of ecosystems. Each eruption is a chapter, each layer a paragraph, each fossil, crystal, or mineral grain a word etched in the narrative of the Earth, in rhythms far slower than a human heartbeat. And yet, its messages are clear. If you are willing to listen, you realize, too, that supervolcanoes connect deeply to life's resilience. Plants, animals, and humans are not separate from geological processes. They are intertwined with them. The Earth's fire shapes the soil, the air, the water, and the climate, and life responds with flexibility, innovation, and continuity. Even the most cataclysmic eruption becomes a stage for life's persistence. And in this understanding, fear transforms into awe. Imagine standing in a world after eruption, watching life return slowly. Tiny sprouts push through ash. Birds return to trees. Rivers, once diverted, carve paths anew. You understand that resilience is not immediate. It grows with time, with patience, with the gradual unfolding of energy. Supervolcanoes remind you that power and life coexist, and that even the largest upheavals can give rise to new beauty and complexity. These memories are not only geological, they are personal. You carry them in your mind as lessons about balance, endurance, and patience. Just as the Earth rebuilds, you too can recover, regenerate, and adapt. The supervolcano's memory is a meditation on impermanence and transformation. It whispers that even when change feels catastrophic, there is opportunity, growth, and renewal ahead. You wander through the imagination of time, touching the echoes of past eruptions. Toba's ash cloud, Topo's caldera, Lagaria's tuff. Each one leaves a mark, subtle or profound. Each teaches the rhythm of accumulation, release, and restoration. And you feel a kinship with this slow, enduring pattern. The Earth, in its immense patience, has been shaping life, landscapes, and skies for millions of years. Your own life, brief as it is in comparison, participates in the same rhythms: growth, challenge, adaptation, and renewal. As night falls, you rest beside the memory of these great eruptions. The stars appear above, undisturbed by ash and fire. You feel the quiet pulse of Earth beneath you, the heartbeat of a planet that remembers its history and prepares for the future. Even supervolcanoes, which can unleash unimaginable power, spend most of their lives in quiet accumulation and patience. You understand at last that restraint and balance are as profound as force and release. Tomorrow, you will explore the forces that guide future eruptions, how scientists read the signs of magma, pressure, and heat, how we can coexist with these immense forces, and how understanding the Earth's memory can help guide our own sense of harmony and patience. For now, you close your eyes, cradled by a world that endures, remembers, and renews endlessly. You awaken in the soft light of observation. Above the sleeping giant, the land appears calm, almost ordinary. Yet beneath your feet, hidden chambers of molten rock pulse with quiet energy. You realize, even in stillness, the earth speaks if you know how to listen. This is the delicate art of reading the signs, a way to understand the pulse of a supervolcano without awakening its power. The first sign is subtle. The ground itself moves. You may not feel it, but sensors placed carefully across the caldera detect shifts of mere millimeters. The crust swells and subsides, rises slightly as magma intrudes, then relaxes as pressure redistributes. These movements are slow, almost imperceptible, yet they tell a story older than any human record. You imagine standing in a forest where moss carpets the ground. Beneath your feet, rock bends imperceptibly, a heartbeat so slow that only instruments can perceive it. And in that rhythm, scientists can discern the giant's breathing. Seismic activity is another whisper from the deep. Tiny tremors, called micro-earthquakes, ripple through the crust. Some are caused by magma moving, others by stress adjusting in surrounding rock. They are faint, rhythmic, almost musical in their pattern. Imagine listening to a symphony of the earth, each tremor a note, each cluster a chord. With patience, understanding emerges. Seismographs record these movements, revealing patterns over weeks, months, and years. These are not warnings of imminent disaster, but echoes of the planet's slow dance. Temperature, too, speaks. Heat rises through faults and fractures, warming soil and water. Thermal cameras detect subtle changes, like the gentle touch of sunlight on a cool morning. Hot springs and fumaroles act as windows, offering clues about magma movement far below. Imagine dipping your hand into a warm pool, feeling the quiet energy flowing through it. The water holds a story of heat traveling from the Earth's mantle, a soft, invisible thread connecting deep fire to surface calm. Gas emissions are another language. Carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, helium, invisible travelers from the magma chamber escape through cracks in the earth. By measuring their concentrations, scientists can understand the pressure, composition, and movement of magma. Picture it like listening to a whispered conversation. The gases carry secrets of the underground world. A shift in ratio, a sudden increase, a subtle decrease, each change tells of the giant's inner state. Yet these signs are gentle, almost imperceptible. They are not alarms, but clues in the Earth's dialogue, requiring careful attention and respect. Gravity itself holds messages. Subtle changes in the Earth's gravitational field reveal swelling or contraction beneath the surface. Satellites orbit overhead, measuring variations invisible to the naked eye. They track the hidden weight of molten rock, the slow accumulation of potential energy. Imagine standing beneath the sky, feeling the pull of unseen mass beneath you. It is a reminder that the Earth is alive and that even seemingly solid rock is in motion, breathing through geological time. Scientists combine all these signals: seismic tremors, gas emissions, ground deformation, thermal changes, and gravity measurements to form a portrait of the sleeping giant. Each piece alone is subtle, uncertain, incomplete. Together, they offer understanding, a calm window into forces that are otherwise invisible. You realize the elegance of this work. It is not about control, domination, or conquest. It is about listening, interpreting, and coexisting. The supervolcano does not demand attention. It offers it willingly for those who approach with patience and care. You wander through the caldera, imagining the instruments in place. Seismographs record faint tremors. Gas sensors sniff the sulfur in the air. Thermal cameras map the warmth rising from underground. Satellites trace tiny swells in the land. All these technologies extend human senses, allowing us to hear what our ears cannot, see what our eyes cannot, and feel what our hands cannot. It is a meditation of science, a patient observation of processes unfolding over centuries and millennia. Some signs are seasonal. Rainfall saturates the soil, affecting ground movement. Snowmelt infiltrates, fractures, changing pressure and temperature. Even human activity, drilling, construction, hiking, adds faint background noise. Scientists learn to filter the signals, distinguishing the giant's true voice from transient whispers. It is a practice in attention, a lesson in humility and awareness. You sense the rhythm of the earth as you walk, slow, steady, deliberate, infinitely patient. Predicting eruptions is not about certainty. The earth cannot be hurried. Even with the most advanced instruments, scientists can only measure probabilities, observe trends, and prepare contingencies. This is not fear. It is respectful anticipation. Like watching clouds gather before a storm, you cannot force them to move, only read the sky and prepare. The supervolcano teaches that knowledge is not power over, but harmony with. You pause beside a geyser basin, feeling the warmth of steam on your face. The signals of magma below seem almost musical, a low hum that vibrates through stone and water. You notice the interplay of water and heat, pressure and release, and understand that predicting behavior is an act of patience, a meditation on time, energy, and observation. Even centuries of study cannot rush the Earth's processes. They unfold at their own rhythm, and humans must learn to move with it. Communication is everywhere. Every tremor, every steam vent, every swelling mound is a sentence. Every gas emission a word, every subtle heat change a syllable. The supervolcano tells its story constantly, and listening is the act of translating patience into understanding. You feel connected to this slow, deliberate conversation. You recognize the humility required to observe without interruption, to learn without fear, to respect without interference. At night, the caldera glows softly under moonlight. Steam rises in thin, silver threads. The land exhales quietly, a gentle sigh after a day of careful measurement. You lie down and feel the subtle pulse beneath you. Like a heart beating slowly in sync with the earth's rhythm, the sleeping giant is not silent. It is conversing in a language older than stars, teaching patience, awareness, and the beauty of subtle power. Tomorrow, you will explore how the giant's power shapes landscapes and life over millennia, how slow movement beneath the crust creates mountains, rivers, and valleys, and how the earth's quiet patience gives form to the world above. For now, you rest in the shadow of the sleeping giant, feeling the pulse of pressure, heat, and balance beneath your feet. You breathe with the earth, you listen. You understand that even the mightiest forces can be gentle, patient, and calm. You rise early, stepping lightly across the land, aware of the invisible forces shaping every hill, every stream, every gentle slope. The earth moves slowly, with patience beyond imagining, sculpting its surface over millennia with power both quiet and relentless. Beneath your feet, the story begins in fire. Magma chambers swell and contract, sending vibrations through the crust that rise in subtle pulses. These pulses push rock upward, forming ridges, hills, and mountains. It is not sudden, it is slow, deliberate, and enduring. Imagine a mountain range being born. Layer by layer, pressure forces rock to bend and fold. Volcanic eruptions add new material, lava flows that harden, cooling in intricate patterns. The earth does not rush, it builds in patience. Each fold, each fault, each intrusion is part of a grand design that will be visible only to those who walk its slopes centuries later. These landscapes are the canvas of molten stone, painted with pressure, heat, and time. The supervolcano's influence extends far beyond its caldera, touching rivers, valleys, and plains in ways invisible to the casual eye. Rivers are artists of their own, shaped by the subtle shifts of the crust. The weight of swelling magma tilts land, changes gradients, and guides water flow. Ash and sediments from eruptions enrich soils along riverbanks, altering ecosystems and nurturing forests. Imagine standing by a stream, watching water curve around a bend. Each ripple, each eddy, is guided by forces that began deep below, where heat and pressure quietly nudged the crust into new patterns. Rivers carve, bend, and persist, responding patiently to the earth's slow rhythms. Valleys form not in moments of eruption, but through long conversations between fire, ice, and water. Magma pushes upward, lifting land. Glaciers carve slowly, grinding stone into fertile soil. Rainfall sculpts slopes, deepening channels and softening ridges. You sense a profound patience here. The earth is a sculptor, moving slowly, deliberately, aware of balance, knowing when to yield and when to resist. Even forests and meadows respond to this gentle shaping. Soils enriched by volcanic ash host diverse life. Plant roots follow subtle gradients of water and nutrients, adapting to gentle slopes and hidden rises. Animals, in turn, follow the land's contours, trails, nesting grounds, and migration paths aligned with the subtle artistry of tectonic and volcanic activity. It is a dance of interconnectedness, where magma, water, rock, and life co-create landscapes over centuries. The mountains themselves are records of ancient energy. Folded rock layers trace the push and pull of the crust. Intrusions of hardened lava mark where magma forced its way upward. Ash layers tell of past eruptions, each a page in a story of creation and renewal. Walking across these slopes, you feel the patience of time. Every ridge, every valley is a whisper from the earth. Power need not roar to shape the world. Steady. Invisible forces quietly build and maintain the landscapes around you. You reach a plateau where the view stretches endlessly. Rivers snake through the land like silver threads, catching the sunlight in gentle reflections. Valleys, cradle, forests, and lakes, all arranged by the subtle balance of pressure beneath the crust. It is humbling to realize that this beauty is born of fire. The same magma that could erupt with unimaginable power also elevates mountains, guides rivers, and creates fertile plains. Creation and destruction are intertwined in a rhythm older than humanity. Even erosion follows a patient rhythm. Wind, water, and ice gradually wear down peaks, smooth slopes, and redistribute sediments. The land is never static. It moves, adjusts, and evolves. Supervolcanoes, while central, are only part of this dynamic interplay. They push, melt, and uplift, while rivers, glaciers, and time refine and polish. Imagine a pebble in a stream. It tumbles slowly, shaped by countless droplets of water. So too, the grand landscapes of continents are shaped by millennia of subtle motion, pressure, and flow. The caldera itself is a hub of transformation. Its collapse creates depressions that guide rivers and lakes. Thermal features, warm soil and water, influencing vegetation patterns. Even distant eruptions leave ash layers that enrich soils for generations. The earth remembers its movements, and the surface reflects these memories. And riverbeds. Every contour tells a story, where heat rose, where pressure pushed, where water eroded. You can read these landscapes like a book of patience, resilience, and continuity. You pause beside a small river, its waters glimmering. It has followed the subtle tilt of the land for thousands of years, guided by forces invisible but undeniable. You realize that the earth is a silent choreographer, orchestrating mountains, rivers, and valleys in harmony with hidden energy. Life flows with it, adapting, responding, thriving. Animals follow gentle slopes. Plants root in enriched soil. Humans walk trails carved over centuries. All are participants in this slow creation. Even erosion, often seen as decay, is part of the artistry. Wind and rain sculpt ridges into flowing lines. Glaciers carve valleys like sculptors with gentle hands. Sediments carried downstream nourished plains and lakes. Continuing the cycle of growth and adaptation, the Earth's patience is evident here. What seems destructive at first glance ultimately contributes to creation, life, and balance. You lie down on a grassy knoll, feeling the gentle rise and fall of the terrain beneath you. The mountains, rivers, and valleys cradle you like a patient guardian. You notice the subtle hum of energy from deep below, a rhythm that has shaped this land over millions of years. It is steady, calm, and reassuring. Even the mightiest landscapes are built in silence. Pressure, Heat, water, and ice move slowly, sculpting beauty with patience. The earth teaches that lasting creation takes time. As night falls, the rivers shimmer under the moonlight. Mountains stand in silhouette, sculpted by ancient fire and patient erosion. Valleys cradle forests and lakes, all shaped by invisible hands. The land breathes quietly, a testament to the interplay of force, time, and patience. You close your eyes and feel your own connection to this slow, deliberate rhythm. You, like the rivers and valleys, follow a gentle flow of growth, adaptation, and renewal. The earth's lessons echo within you: patience, resilience, and the beauty of subtle power. Tomorrow, you will explore the silent energy of magma beneath the caldera, how it stores immense power, influences landscapes, and maintains a rhythm of life above. You will feel the pulse of molten rock and understand the delicate balance of strength and restraint. For now, you rest, cradled by mountains, rivers, and valleys, aware of the patient artistry that shapes every contour of the land. You close your eyes and imagine the world beneath your feet, a realm hidden from sight, yet alive with gentle, immense energy. Beneath Yellowstone and other supervolcanoes lies a chamber of molten rock, a magma reservoir that breathes slowly, silently, like the heart of the earth itself. It is a pulse you cannot see, but you can feel if you listen with care. A warmth that rises through stone, a subtle vibration in the crust, a rhythm older than mountains and older than humans. Magma is not uniform. It is a mixture of melted rock, crystals, and gas. It moves in slow currents, flowing in patterns that take centuries to unfold. Some pockets are hotter, more fluid, carrying melted minerals upward. Others are cooler, more viscous, held in place by surrounding solid rock, sometimes stagnant, always patient. It bends, stretches, and flows according to the gentle forces of heat, pressure, and gravity. The pulse of this hidden river shapes the world above in ways invisible yet profound. The gases trapped within magma are tiny messengers of pressure. Carbon dioxide, sulfur, and water vapor rise slowly through cracks in the crust, sometimes accumulating until they burst through geysers and fumes. These subtle emissions are the caldera's breath, a soft sigh that carries information about the giant's inner state. You feel the hum beneath your feet, like standing beside a vast, slow-moving heartbeat. It is powerful, immense, yet calm, a reminder that strength does not always need to roar. Magma stores energy over millennia. It is not chaotic. It is deliberate. The heat melts, surrounding rock, reshaping chambers and conduits. The crust above responds, rising and falling like a chest in meditation. Pressure builds gently, then relaxes, and the earth's pulse continues, patient and precise. Imagine lying beside this hidden river, feeling its warmth radiate through the stone, a comforting, steady presence beneath the land you walk on. It is an invisible companion, ancient and enduring. Seismic tremors echo this pulse. They are faint, rhythmic vibrations that travel through the crust, measured with sensitive instruments by scientists who have learned to listen. Each tremor is a word, each cluster a sentence, telling a story of heat, pressure, and movement beneath the surface. You imagine placing your hand on the ground, sensing these vibrations as a gentle rhythm, Like the Earth's own lullaby, slow, calm, and unending, magma also shapes the chemistry of the Earth's surface. As it rises, it interacts with groundwater, heating it and creating geysers, hot springs, and fumaroles. It releases minerals into the soil, enriching life above. The hidden pulse beneath the caldera sustains ecosystems, even while remaining unseen, unacknowledged, yet profoundly influential. You feel a sense of harmony here, energy stored in molten rock, shaping the world above, guiding rivers, warming springs, nurturing life, all in quiet patience. Some magma remains in place for millions of years, cooling slowly, crystallizing into rock. Other pockets move upward, carving channels, creating fractures, allowing water, gas, and heat to reach the surface. Imagine it as a slow conversation, the deep earth speaking through temperature, vibration, and chemical signals. Every movement is a sentence, every emission a whisper, and the surface, rivers, forests, and humans respond in turn, living in rhythm with the hidden pulse beneath. Pressure and temperature interact delicately in these chambers. If pressure rises too quickly, fractures form, and magma can erupt violently. If it is released gradually, the giant sleeps, venting energy through geysers and subtle ground uplift. You sense the importance of patience. The Earth's pulse is not hurried. It reminds you that even immense power can be quiet, deliberate, and nurturing. The caldera above the magma chamber is shaped by these pulses. Ground swells, subsides, and fractures in response to the hidden currents. Rivers adjust, valleys form, and lakes collect in depressions. Magma shapes the Earth's surface in slow, elegant patterns, influencing life and landscape without announcing itself in fury. You feel gratitude for this patient force, working unseen to maintain balance, connecting deep energy to the surface world you inhabit. Magma's pulse also affects the air. Steam rises from hot springs, carrying traces of dissolved minerals. Gases reach the atmosphere, influencing clouds, climate, and ecosystems. Even the sky is touched by the giant's hidden heartbeat. Imagine inhaling the warmth of a geyser's steam, feeling it on your skin and in your lungs. The air carries stories from kilometers below, tiny whispers from molten rock, shaping life above with invisible hands. You realize that the hidden pulse is a teacher. It shows that immense strength can coexist with calm. It illustrates balance, patience, and the interconnection of forces. The giant's heart beats slowly, steadily, sustaining life above while remaining largely unseen. Even potential eruption, should it ever occur, is a slow accumulation of centuries, not a sudden impulse. You can respect the power without fear, understanding that it is a rhythm as old as the earth itself. As night falls over the caldera, steam rises in silver threads, reflecting the moonlight and stars above. You lie down on the cool ground, feeling the subtle warmth below, connected to the hidden pulse beneath. You sense its patience, and you feel your own pulse aligning. A meditation on strength, restraint, and harmony. Tomorrow, you will explore the intimate connections between supervolcanoes and life, how ecosystems thrive in landscapes shaped by fire and pressure, and how the planet's hidden pulse sustains the beauty, diversity, and balance of the surface world. For now, You rest, cradled by warmth and silent energy, aware of the steady heartbeat beneath the sleeping giant. You step softly across the land, feeling the gentle contours of hills and valleys beneath your feet. Every blade of grass, every leaf, every ripple in a stream carries whispers of fire and pressure from below. Life has adapted here, not despite the supervolcano, but because of it. The Earth's pulse, the hidden energy of magma, shapes every ecosystem with patience and subtle power. Supervolcanoes are not only forces of destruction, they are architects of resilience and abundance. Imagine a forest growing atop volcanic soil. Ash layers, once part of a great eruption, now enrich the ground with minerals, phosphorus, potassium, iron, and silica, elements essential for plant growth. Trees rise tall and strong, drawing nutrients from depths once molten. Every leaf and branch carries a memory of ancient fire, transformed into life. You walk slowly beneath these trees, listening to the soft rustle of leaves. The forest breathes with a rhythm that echoes the hidden pulse beneath the surface. A silent meditation of energy and adaptation. Rivers flowing through volcanic landscapes carry similar stories. They carve valleys, deposit fertile sediments, and connect ecosystems across wide distances. Fish swim through waters enriched by minerals, while amphibians, insects, and birds thrive along the banks. Even algae and plankton, the smallest architects of oxygen and energy, respond to the subtle chemical traces left by eruptions. Water and fire, seemingly opposing forces, work together in harmony. The river sings of renewal, a gentle chorus above the hidden pulse of magma. Volcanic landscapes foster biodiversity in remarkable ways. Some species are specially adapted to thrive in nutrient-rich soils. Others colonize areas disturbed by ash or lava, taking advantage of new niches. Over generations, ecosystems adjust, evolve, and flourish, demonstrating the resilience of life in harmony with geological forces. Imagine a meadow of wildflowers sprouting from gray ash. Petals unfold toward the sunlight, roots anchor in mineral-rich soil, and the air hums with insects, birds, and the subtle stirrings of life. What was once devastation becomes a cradle for diversity. Even microorganisms participate in this quiet transformation. Bacteria and fungi break down minerals, releasing nutrients into the soil. They form symbiotic relationships with plants, facilitating growth in soils that were once sterile. Life thrives at every scale, from microscopic to towering trees, all linked by the patient rhythm of volcanic influence. You feel a sense of awe, recognizing that the Earth's pulse sustains more than landscapes. It nurtures entire webs of life, quietly, continuously. The caldera itself hosts unique ecosystems. Hot springs, fumaroles, and geysers create microclimates where heat-loving organisms flourish. Thermophiles, bacteria that thrive in extreme temperatures, paint vibrant colors in the water: orange, green, and crimson. They remind you that life finds a way even in environments shaped by fire. These organisms are ancient, having evolved over millennia, linked intimately to the hidden pulse beneath the caldera. They transform heat and minerals into life, a living testament to the Earth's patient creativity. Animals also adapt to volcanic landscapes. Birds nest on cliffs shaped by lava flows. Mammals roam valleys once covered in ash, finding shelter and food in regenerating forests. Even insects, often overlooked, exploit niches created by subtle changes in soil, vegetation, and microclimates. Life is both fragile and resilient here. It bends without breaking, adapts without haste, following the gentle rhythm set by forces deep beneath the earth. Volcanic ash, though initially disruptive, supports renewal. After an eruption, plants are the first to recolonize barren lands. Pioneer species anchor the soil, reduce erosion, and create habitats for insects and small mammals. Over decades, forests expand, lakes fill, and rivers stabilize. Ecosystems grow stronger, richer, more diverse. You watch this process unfold in your mind, seeing the landscape transform from gray devastation to vibrant life. The Earth's pulse beneath remains steady, guiding this rebirth without interference. Even human life intersects with these rhythms. Ancient civilizations settled near volcanic soils, drawn by fertile lands and natural geothermal energy. They adapted to risk, learned from the land, and thrived in balance with the forces beneath. Modern humans continue to study, respect, and coexist with these powerful yet patient systems. You realize that observing and understanding the pulse of a supervolcano is not just scientific. It is a lesson in harmony with life itself. The subtle patterns of life above fire teach you mindfulness. Ecosystems evolve slowly, responding to small changes in soil, water, and climate. Plants root in nutrient-rich ash, rivers flow along ancient tilts, and animals move with the land's contours. All life is in dialogue with the hidden pulse below, following rhythms older than history, older than humanity. Imagine lying in a meadow, feeling the warmth of the soil, listening to distant birds, watching a river bend gently. You sense the energy beneath, patient, steady, supportive. It is a meditation in motion, life thriving because of forces unseen. Even the smallest signs of life carry echoes of volcanic influence. A blade of grass draws minerals from ash. A tiny insect burrows into soil enriched by lava. A bird feeds on insects adapted to volcanic habitats. All are threads in a vast tapestry woven by fire, pressure, and patient energy. You see the interconnectedness clearly. Surface life depends on hidden pulses, just as humans depend on ecosystems for sustenance, air, and water. The lesson is clear. Power and life coexist harmoniously. Destruction is temporary. Creation endures. The Earth's pulse shapes not only landscapes but also the very web of life that clings to its surface. It is a quiet meditation on patience, resilience, and beauty. As night falls, you lie beneath the stars, cradled by forests, rivers, and mountains, sculpted by fire and pressure. You inhale the air, enriched by minerals and life. The hidden pulse beneath the caldera hums gently, and you feel connected to all living things above it. The supervolcano is not a threat to night. It is a teacher, a guardian, and a creator, reminding you that life persists, evolves, and thrives in harmony with immense forces. Tomorrow, you will explore the final reflections on patience, interconnectedness, and the quiet power of the earth. Bringing together all lessons from ash, magma, landscapes, and life, you will drift toward closure, feeling calm, inspired, and aligned with the rhythms of the planet. You rest, embraced by ecosystems, nurtured by fire, and you understand that life, patiently and harmoniously,